Hey, everybody, welcome inside the sit down. Ryan Mayer now joined by Super Bowl 48 champion, former Seattle Seahawks defensive end. Also going to be on the broadcast this weekend for the Super Bowl for Sky Sports. That's Cliff Avril. Cliff, thanks so much for taking some time today, man.
Oh, no problem at all. Appreciate you having me.
Now, I know you're down in Tampa, and we were just talking a little bit beforehand about how it doesn't quite feel like Super Bowl week. And obviously, that's for good reasons, for health and safety for everybody involved. But just describe to me a little bit the vibe down there this week as we're getting ready for this big game coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a little different, from years past. I've gone to the Super Bowl last couple of years. I've gone as a player as well. There's always a lot of activity going on, parties, events, experiences, all these different things. It's not so much of that this year, obviously due to the pandemic. But you feel like there's something special going on, but it's kind of hidden in a sense, or it's not as many people out here. But all in all, though, it should be a great turnout for the circumstances.
Yeah, no question, no question. And before we get to this year's game, I want to have you take me back a little bit to those Super Bowl appearances that you made with the Seattle Seahawks, and of course, winning the game in the Super Bowl 48, and then the next year, we all know what happened, the Malcolm Butler play to end that game. But everybody asks what the favorite moment from the Super Bowl is. I want to know, what was the biggest challenge maybe of leading into those games, because we hear a lot about how this game, while it is just a regular football game once you get into it, is a lot different in terms of routine for every guy as you go into Sunday.
And that's exactly what it is the routine piece. Athletes are creatures of habits. You try to eat the same thing every day on game day, same times. You're just creature of habit. So when you have the Super Bowl, there's 2 weeks to prepare for a team. But not only is it 2 weeks to prepare, that following week, typically, you go to whatever site that is, and it's a bunch of media stuff as well. The media obligations, the days are longer. You got your family that you got to worry about, making sure they got their tickets, make sure they got their hotel rooms, and catering to them a little bit. So it's just more stress for the athlete, and you try to keep it as normal as possible. And unfortunately, the wife usually takes the blunt of that, because she has to kind of pick up where you can't kind of put things into perspective for everyone that's around. But overall, though, it's just the fact that it's an extra week. There's more on your plate, and you can't really focus in as much as you like to that second week around. So you have to be really well prepared the week before.
Yeah, and going into that second Super Bowl, of course, you face Tom Brady, who's going to be in the game again this year. And I just wonder, from looking at when you faced him back in 2014 in that Super Bowl to now, what has changed in his game, if anything, in your mind, in your perspective?
It's nothing really has changed. Like his arms, strength, because that was the knock early on this season, right? Oh my gosh, we don't know if he has it anymore, right? And then midway through the season, you see him throwing bombs to Evans and all his playmakers, right? So I think it's more so like he's just wise, experienced, seasoned. Think about it. This man's year 21. He's been playing longer than some of these guys that are rookies, right? So just understanding how the game is played, because at the end of the day, football's football. From 20 years to now, the play calling may be called something different, but there's only so many different coverages you can run. There's only so many different blitzes that you can add to the package, and he's seen all of it, right? So I think that's what makes him so special, is the fact that mentally, physically, he might not necessarily be there, but physically or mentally, he has everything it takes to be able to beat you.
And we talk a little bit about this being another Super Bowl appearance. It's number 10 for him. For somebody that made two, I know you know how difficult it is just to get to that many and feel
Yeah.
lucky having gone to two of them. Just how do you put that in perspective? Because it seems nearly impossible at this point.
It's legendary, man. It's legendary. I mean, I was fortunate enough to play in two, win one. Extremely excited. Like, when they bring me up, hey, Cliff Avril Super Bowl champ, right? But when you think of what he's done, because I know a lot of guys. I know guys that played 15 years, 13 years, have never sniffed the Super Bowl, never sniffed the playoffs, let alone the Super Bowl. And this man has gone 10 times. I mean, it's unreal. But then to do it in the manner that he's done it, right? The big question mark, who's going to need who more, Belichick or Tom Brady, right? Well, Belichick didn't necessarily have a great season, and Tom Brady's still on one of the teams that's the last standing team. So It's extremely impressive. It's legendary. So many people, they're tired of seeing them do it, but in the same breath, you have to appreciate what you're watching because this won't happen for, probably another century. You know what I mean? Like to see somebody do what he's done, it probably won't ever happen. So you have to appreciate it.
Yeah, and that seems to be the theme going into this game, appreciating both the greatness of Brady, but also this matchup that we have, right? Because we do have on the other side a kid in Patrick Mahomes that now at age 25 has the chance to surpass Brady in a sense, in that he would become the youngest two-time Super Bowl winner if he
Mm.
ends up winning this game. So just, I know you didn't get the chance to cross paths with Mahomes in the league, but having watched him now as you've gone into your second career here in the media, what stands out about him to you?
Extremely impressive, man. I mean, to see what he's able to do. Obviously, I played with a great Russell Wilson. I played with some really good quarterbacks, right? But what he's able to do is he's like a mixture of all those great quarterbacks. He can sidearm it, he can flick it, 60, 70 yards, he can run it, he can do a wide range of different things. And I think that's what makes him so special. He's able to adjust. The play calling obviously helps in caters to his talent, with all the trickery and different things like that, but allows him to be special in that offense. It's super impressive. Now the question is, the only quarterback that have gone back to back and actually won it is Brady. So so we'll see who can make this happen. Can Brady hold him off, or can the new kid on the block make some things happen and become the Tom Brady of the NFL? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and one of the big questions going into Sunday's game is the Chiefs' offensive line is banged up. We lost
Yeah.
Eric Fisher during the course of the AFC Championship game to that Achilles injury. They had lost their other starting tackle, Mitchell Schwartz, earlier in the season. From a defensive lineman's perspective, as you look at that matchup in the trenches between the Bucks pass rush, which is really good. Yeah, I see you licking your fingers
You're
there.
licking
That's
your
that's a dream
chops.
matchup, right?
And you're licking your chops. You're excited about it. It's an opportunity to go up against the second string guy that might make this game too big for himself. Might let the lights and the cameras kind of get to him a little bit. So you got to attack him immediately. But what I do know is Mahomes understands that as well. He knows that as well, right? He's missing a couple of his players. He's missing his blindside guy. He's missing some guys. So I think what they'll do early on is to see how they play out against this defensive line, because they're stacked. You talk about Shaq Barrett, you talk about Sue, you talk about JPP. I mean, these guys get active. So what do you do to compensate that? I think they start moving Mahomes around a little bit in the pocket. They're going to test it out to see how these guys hold up, but then they start moving them around in the pocket so guys don't have to necessarily match up one on one, and it's more of a zone type of play. So but yes, as a defensive lineman, that first quarter, those first few quarters, oh, you're licking your chops because you're going up against a guy that might make this game too big for himself.
Yeah, pinning the ears back and getting right
Let's
after
go. Yeah.
those backup linemen, no question. And for the Chiefs too, of course, Patrick Mahomes gets a lot of the credit, but two great offensive minds on that side as well in terms of making adjustments. And Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. Just you mentioned some of the things that you expect them to do in moving Mahomes out of the pocket. Is there anything else that maybe you would expect from them adjustments wise from the first time these two teams met up? Because they had a great first half and an explosive first quarter, but then Tampa Bay adjusted and they weren't able to get the offense going as much.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see them adjusting. That's what they do, right? That's what. Even in the Buffalo game, the D line was getting after him a little bit, and they started moving the pocket a little bit more. I think with KC though, what they do so well is they run the same plays over and over. But what they do is they give you so many different looks, and it's all about who can stay sound through that process. Can you make the right reads? As a linebacker, you have these two gaps, but when they flash somebody across your face, do you go with that? Are you disciplined? And I think that's what makes them so special is they put a lot of icing and sugar on one play that you've seen 1,000 times, but can you be disciplined to how that looks to you and attacking it? And then again, you talk about Mahomes and his playmakers from Travis Kelsey, Cheetah. I think he's going to be the issue, the big thing, keeping him in front of the defense. Make sure no, he doesn't get behind your defense. Now, how do you stop him? You got to play a form of cover four, quarters, whatever it may be, but make sure you keep him in front of you and don't let him get behind that defense, because once he gets behind it, You're not catching him.
Yeah, if he's even, he's leaving, as the old saying goes.
Exactly.
So just on the flip side, I wonder what matchup you're drawn to as you look at the Chiefs defense and Steve Spagnuolo, who's had a good history against Brady in these Super Bowl settings, going up against Brady and this Buccaneers offense, which may have the most weapons that we've ever seen with Tom Brady, with all of these wide receivers.
It's going to be, I mean, just like any quarterback. I don't care if you're a rookie. I don't care if you're Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, or the great Tom Brady. If you get hits on quarterbacks, you get hurries on quarterbacks, make them uncomfortable in that pocket. You know, you mess with them a little bit. I don't care how strong they are mentally; they're not used to getting hit, right? I mean, the game has kind of created that for them. So I think that's key. You know, Frank Clark, some of those guys off the edge. I think it's going to be huge for those guys to be able to find ways to get pressure. The difference with Brady and Mahomes is the pocket presence. Brady pocket presence is great, but he doesn't move. He's not. Once you beat your guy, he's going to be in the pocket. So if you can beat your guy and you know where he's going to be at. So that's why I think those guys up front is going to be it's going to be imperative that they apply pressure as much as possible. And it doesn't have to lead to sacks. It just has to be hits. It has to be hurries. He has to start thinking about those guys more so than the guys on the back end.
Now, I know you're going to be involved in calling this game, so I don't want to ask you for a pick necessarily. What I do want to ask you for, though, is there something about this matchup we're not talking enough about heading into Sunday?
I think and maybe people are talking about it, but I think the biggest thing, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, the X factor for Tampa to win is going to be Ndamukong Suh and JPP, that front four. I think it's going to be imperative that they find ways because, like I said, I do believe they're going to start moving the pocket around. So they got to be able to read those boots. They got to be able to read those nakeds. They got to be able to read those plays to apply pressure. Because what makes Mahomes so great again is he can kill you with his feet or he can launch it downfield. But when he has time to sit back there, it's unreal. And then I just read a stat as well that confirms this as well is Mahomes, his passing rating percentage actually goes down when the front four, without blitzing him, I think it goes down to like 45, 46%. But if you have to blitz him, it goes up to 80%. I think Tampa wins this.
No question. And the final one that I have for you, I know you may not be able to enjoy it this year because you're involved in the broadcast, but I was talking to Lawrence Guy the other day. He was telling me his recipe for jalapeno poppers. That's his go-to Super Bowl snack. 30 minutes on the grill. He took me through the whole thing. So for you, when there's a Super Bowl spread, what's the go-to?
Ooh, oh man. We keep it light. We'll do the the Tostitos chips with the salsa, the cheese. Then we might bring some wings in it, depending on how many people we have coming in. But can't go wrong with the chips. Keep it light though, because you want people to actually go home after they're done. You don't want them to have the itis.
No question about it. All right, Cliff, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun, and enjoy this game coming up on Sunday. We're gonna have a lot of fun watching this one.
I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you.